The world stood still, holding its breath. From the Vatican to Manila, millions waited in anticipation. Pope Francis was in the hospital, and people everywhere were filled with concern. Prayers filled churches and homes asking for good news. Meanwhile, the cardinals, the most important leaders of the Catholic Church, gathered in Vatican City. All eyes were on them. But it wasn't just the cardinals who had the world's attention. A tiny chimney became the focus of millions, the sign of hope. Everyone was looking for one thing: white smoke. Social media was on fire with discussions, predictions, and prayers. Catholics around the world felt connected, waiting together for the historic moment. Then, the event no one would ever forget happened. White smoke rose from the chimney. The news spread like wildfire. Crowds erupted in cheers, and the world paused in amazement. The Catholic Church had a new pope. In St. Peter's Square, thousands stood in awe, gazing up at the balcony. The moment had arrived. Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re stepped forward, his voice solemn and firm. Then came the famous Latin words, Annuncio vobis gaudium magnum, Habemus Papam. In English, I bring you great joy, we have a pope. The crowd gasped. Then the name was spoken, Luis Antonio Tagle. The world stood still. For the first time in 2,000 years, an Asian had been elected pope. History had been made. The Catholic Church had entered a new era. The impossible had become reality. The new leader of the Church was no stranger. Born in 1957 in Manila, Philippines, Pope Tagle had already won hearts worldwide with his kindness, humility, and deep faith. His journey was remarkable. Becoming a priest in 1982, he quickly stood out for his intelligence and compassion. He earned a doctorate in theology in Rome but remained humble and dedicated to serving others. His work as a priest, seminary teacher, and later as Bishop of Habemus earned him a reputation as a wise and fair leader. When Pope Benedict XVI appointed him Archbishop of Manila in 2011, his influence grew beyond the Philippines. He was a voice for the poor, the oppressed, and those longing for justice. Pope Tagle's election shocked the world. For centuries, the papacy had been dominated by European leaders. But his rise signified something powerful. The Catholic Church was evolving. The global South, particularly Asia, was now at the forefront. The Philippines, home to the third largest Catholic population, had long been a pillar of faith. Pope Tagle's election was a recognition of this deep devotion. His ability to bridge cultures made him the perfect leader for the modern Church. Fluent in several languages and deeply knowledgeable about different traditions, he embodied unity. His papacy promised a church that embraced diversity, welcomed all people, and stood for justice. Back home, the Philippines erupted in celebration. From the bustling streets of Manila to remote villages, the nation rejoiced. Bells rang, fireworks lit up the sky, and people danced with pride. This was more than just national pride. It was a symbol of faith, perseverance, and divine blessing. Through centuries of hardships, from colonization to natural disasters, Filipinos had held on to their faith. Now they felt their devotion had been recognized. When Pope Tagle stepped onto the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, his warm smile captivated the world. He spoke of love, unity, and service. His vision was clear, a church that embraced the poor, the marginalized, and the forgotten. He called for action, urging Catholics to serve with compassion. However, his leadership did not come without challenges. The Catholic Church was at a crossroads, facing internal divisions and external pressures. While many embraced his vision of inclusivity, others resisted. Some within the Church were wary of change. His ideas about social justice, interfaith, dialogue, and greater roles for lay people sparked debates. Issues like priestly celibacy and the role of women in the Church became focal points. Traditionalists feared his approach would weaken the Church's foundations. Meanwhile, Pope Tagle also inherited long-standing crises, including financial struggles and past abuse scandals. He had the enormous task of restoring trust in the institution. Despite these hurdles, Pope Tagle's impact was undeniable. His kindness and genuine concern for people won over millions. Catholics and non-Catholics alike admired his dedication to justice. He emphasized serving others, reminding leaders that true power lay in lifting people up, not controlling them. One of his boldest moves was his focus on environmental justice. He convened a special meeting on the Amazon, highlighting the urgent need to protect the Earth's resources. He pushed the church to take a stand against deforestation, pollution, and climate change. He also created a Vatican task force dedicated to tackling major global issues, including poverty, migration, and inequality. He wanted the church to be an active force for good, not just a passive observer. His commitment to interfaith dialogue was another defining trait of his papacy. He met with leaders from different religions, Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, and Hindus, fostering unity in a divided world. He believed in breaking down walls and building bridges, proving that faith could be a force for peace rather than division. Pope Tagle's leadership marked a new chapter in the Church's history. Though challenges lay ahead, his vision of a compassionate and inclusive church resonated worldwide. His election was not just a win for the Philippines, it was a moment of transformation for the entire Catholic community. As the world looked to the future, one thing was clear. Pope Tagle was not just leading a church, he was inspiring a movement. A movement of faith, hope, and unity. A movement that reminded the world of the true essence of Christianity: love, service, and compassion.